Hello, Brandon.
Oh, dobrý večer. Heartfelt welcome to everyone here. And thank you.
No,
thank
for
you.
what? No, thank you. We are so happy. Thank you for having you. Thank you for being here. I think this was a very significant applause for you. That people are happy that you are here. I don't want to take away the time you have for these ladies, but I think that the topic of this of your speech or of this communication will be about finding our divine woman. Can we explain?
It's liberating your divine.
Liberating
the divine woman, yes.
Okay.
So men, you're going to have to find the divine female inside of you, those few men that are here.
There are even divine women in men. Okay, good. So we will just search, listen, thank you very much, and this is your place, space, and time. Brandon Dace.
Thank you. And... You know, the truth of the matter is, I'm actually at another hotel, and I've been giving the 3-day journey intensive, and I never leave a seminar to go to another symposium or a workshop somewhere else. And yet, when I heard that this was a day for women, and it made my hair stand up, and I said, oh my God, get 650 women in a room, and you've got a lot of collective power between us all. And I've been so excited ever since I found out that I could come here, because in this room is so much wisdom. And I saw that Adela, she was asking you how many have met Brandon, or how many have gone to a seminar, how many have read the book. And can I just see how many of you have either heard about it, because I couldn't obviously understand Slovakian, and so I couldn't tell how many of you are familiar on some level with the work, either through workshops or having read the book or heard about it, and just wanted to ask you that. Okay, so quite a lot of you. So you know what I would rather do? You've had a day, a long day, of sitting here and drinking in all kinds of fascinating and wonderful information. And I said to Michal, who's the organizer for the journey here in Slovakia, and I said, you know, these are women who are probably very wise. And rather than just give you more information, I thought it would be fabulous if we actually rolled up our sleeves and got to work and actually did some clearing work, some meditation, some process work. So instead of just giving you a lecture, I wondered, would you all be willing just to play for the next hour and a half? Yes, I figured you could use that. And so I know that you've been sitting and sitting and sitting and sitting, and so I'm sure, that you could use a massage, right? So why don't we all stand up, turn this direction, and give the person in front of you a nice deep massage into the shoulders. Nice and deep into the shoulders.
When you have a dog, you go for a walk. When you have a child, you go to the beach.
It's just
when
us
you
women,
have a lover,
you know?
you stay in bed.
And
when
shopping motion. Shopping motion. La 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 life. La 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 life. La 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 life. Vigorous chopping. Get the whole back. Get the body awake.
When you have a job,
get that body awake and alive.
When someone says you're bad, then you feel
and
hurt.
now, scratching motion, scratching motion, scratching motion. Be like a lioness or a tigress. Scratching motion. Vigorous scratching. Outrageous scratching. Outrageous, yes.
If you are
playful scratching.
For food to eat when you go to the
Slovakian
shop.
Scratching.
You go down the street when you hitchhike.
Okay, switch, other direction. Other direction, this way. La 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 life. La 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 la. You're allowed to have fun and play. La 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 life. La 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 life.
When you get home,
and patting motion. Patting motion. Get the whole back. Get the whole back, patting motion. And now get the sides of the hips. You've been sitting a long time. And you know it's just us women, so we don't even have to be respectful. Just go down the thighs, go down to the knees, down to the feet. Gotta be creative. Like the kids at the kids retreat, back up. And scratching motion, scratching motion. Vigorous scratching. Short of taking their back off, go for it. And now asking, would you like a head massage? Otherwise, neck, shoulder. Otherwise, neck, shoulder. Would you like a head massage? And just shampoo that hair, if they have hair. And little pitty-patty raindrops on the head. Little pitty-patty raindrops. And letting it become a hailstorm. Those big golf balls that fly out of the sky. A hailstorm.
If you are cold, then you put some warm things on. If you are hot, you might go bare or not.
And a tornado! A tornado!
La 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 la.
A tornado! A tsunami!
If you are hungry,
okay, and stroking them down, and sroking them down.
You stick out your thumb,
stroking them down.
From anyone.
And now that you've had a chance to feel up your neighbor, you might like to thank them and introduce yourselves. No more pictures during the talk, okay? Too much distraction. So no more pictures during the talk, please. We're going to get into the work here. So let's all take a nice deep breath in. And letting it out. And another nice deep breath in. And just sighing any tension you've brought into the room, out of the room. So take a deep breath in and blow it out of the room. And just blow into room a deep breath of openness. Deep breath of openness. And the willingness to meet whatever your own heart, your own soul wants you to discover today. So let's take a deep breath in of the willingness. And then trust of yourself. Trust of yourself. A nice deep breath in of trust. Now, because there's so many of you who don't know what the journey is and does, I'm just going to tell a really short story of how the journey works and what it is, so you can put your mind at rest that now you know what the journey is, for those of you that have not read the book or met me or heard about it. And then I'd love to dive into some new work that was just created about 6 weeks ago while I was in India. So I'm going to see if we have enough time to get to it. I'd love to be able to do that. And it's about discovering some of the soul contracts we make with people that limit us. And, you know, as women, you know, often we feel that we get limited by what our parents say we should feel, and what our spouses say we should see and feel, and our partners say we should feel, and then what society says we should feel, and then what the religion says we should feel. And so I'm wanting to get to the root of anything that is holding you back and clear it out so you can live authentically from who you really are inside, from your own divine essence. So I'm hoping we'll kind of stretch time here and make it really timeless, and maybe have some meditation, some process work, and kind of dive into ourselves. Because with the journey is not about someone giving you wisdom and knowledge. The journey is about you finding the guru within yourself, finding the truth, learning the life lessons that your soul would like you to learn, and really learning what it is here, but from the inside. So instead of looking outside for answers, the journey believes that you have all the answers, and that all that it's really about is not about adding in information to you. It's not about addition. It's about subtraction. When you subtract away the lies that we've all bought into, the limitations that we've all bought into, the emotional blocks that we've had, then what is then exposed is your own truth, your own wisdom. And so the journey is known to be both liberating and profoundly healing, because only you can know what your own healing journey really is. And so for those of you that don't know my story, I'm going to make it super short. When I was 39 years old, and I'm 62 now, so, you know, it's a long time since that happened. But at 39 years old, I ended up being diagnosed with a basketball-sized tumor that was life-threatening. And it really catapulted me on a radical, life-changing, spiritual and healing journey. And only 6.5 weeks later, I was in hospital and diagnosed to be textbook perfect clean, completely tumor-free. And so originally, the work was born from my own direct experience of healing. But over the last 20 years, as I'm training medical doctors and psychiatrists and nurses and people in the health industry all over the world, I've seen what works. And I've seen what doesn't work. And so the work itself has grown organically as a living teaching, and it's become extremely refined and user-friendly. But it's based on the essential understanding of cellular healing. And what we absolutely know about our cells is this: when you feel a strong emotion and you repress it, it releases into your bloodstream a corresponding biochemistry, which will go to your cell receptors and block them, rendering your cells incapable of communicating with the rest of the cells in the body. And if over time illness happens, of course it's going to happen where the cells are blocked. Conversely, when you feel your emotions very naturally, just openly, like a child does, like any of your children do. When they're young, they're just very open and they feel their emotions naturally. They can watch this in a laboratory. Your cell receptors remain open. And what we know about the cells is this, is that our cells all replicate at varying speeds. So how many of you have ever had a suntan? Raise your hand. How many have had a suntan? Okay, so nearly everyone. You ought to be having a suntan because right now, the science is saying there's 3 different cancers that are being caused by lack of vitamin D, which isn't even a vitamin, it's a hormone, okay? So, and it's a hormone that's needed for your whole system. But anyway, how many of you have ever noticed that after about 3 weeks, your tan fades? How many of you noticed that? That's because what happens is the old cells slough off, and they're replaced by new cells. Liver cells take 6 weeks, and you have an all-new liver. Stomach lining takes 3 days, and the one that blows my mind are the eye cells, because, you know, you touch your eyes and they feel firm, don't they? Do you know that in less than 48 hours, in less than 2 days' time, you will have an all-new inner eyeball? I mean, this is inconceivable to our thinking mind. The only way I could put that understanding into a context was my mother had one of those eye operations where they slit her eye open, inserted a lens, put a patch on, and put a flap on, put the flap back and put a patch on. And only a day and a half later, she could see clearly. As a matter of fact, there will not be a single molecule in your body a year from now that was here today. And so at the time that the tumor happened, I was very deeply immersed in the whole field of health and cellular healing. And I'd studied at that time with Dr. Deepak Chopra, and he'd done a radical thing. He decided he would study and amass case studies of people who had survived serious illness without drugs or surgery. And after amassing, collecting literally hundreds and ultimately thousands of case studies, he found that people who healed without drugs or surgery had 2 things in common. One was that through some act of grace or spontaneous event, they actually got access to this that he called the infinite intelligence. It's the part of you that makes your heart beat, and your eyes shine, and your hair grow. This that I call source or the soul. And if somehow they opened into this infinite intelligence and somehow got access to these cell memories stored inside. Remember how I told you that when you have, you're the peak of emotion, if you shut it down, the biochemistry gets released and those old cell memories get stored inside your cells. And so he found that those who healed naturally somehow got access to the consciousness that was stored inside the cells. And if somehow they released what was stored there, then when new cells were born, they were born devoid of that old programming, that old consciousness. Now you got to know this. At the time I was 39 years old, I knew all the science, right? I'd studied with Chopra. I'd actually seen the case studies with my own eyes. But I got to tell you something. You can know all the science on the planet. You can be certified in various areas of health, as I was. But unless you have a method, it's nothing more than a bunch of pretty ideas and some statistics on a piece of paper. And that's where I stood when I got ill. And yet I had this gut knowing that somehow I would be guided to heal. And so part of my healing journey was spontaneously, I was guided to find a method. I found a way for all of us to go on a journey inside yourself, a very deep journey, where you go down through the emotional layers and you end up opening into this infinite intelligence, into this that does make your heart beat and your eyes shine and your hair grow. And I found a direct repeatable method for all of us to get access to our blocked cells and to really uncover what's stored in our bodies and to go through a radical process of releasing what's stored there, understanding what's stored inside, and ultimately coming to a place of complete forgiveness. So that when new cells are born, they're born devoid of that consciousness. And so the journey was born firstly out of my own direct experience, but then with working with people all around the world with both emotional issues and physical issues, with people who had everything from brain tumors. Like there was a 17-year-old in New Zealand who had brain tumors, and she was told the position of the 3 tumors in her brain made them inoperable. And she would die, a 17-year-old within that year. And someone just gave her mother the journey book, and her mother read the book and handed it to her daughter. And when the daughter read the book, she said, "Mom, I'm going to be exactly like Brandon. I'm going to get to the root cause of what has put these brain tumors in place." And so innocently, they didn't even know that I give seminars, that I was actually going to Auckland, New Zealand every year, you know. And so they just innocently read the process once a week from the book. A year later, she had her MRI scans, and there was no evidence of any tumors there. And as a matter of fact, they ended up coming, the reason I know this story, was because they ended up coming to the Journey Intensive. And actually, I let the 17-year-old become one of the trainers because she was so used to doing journey process work and so good at it. And it was really her mother who needed the work. I'll tell you why. Can you imagine, all of us, most of us are mothers in here, not all of us. If your 17-year-old daughter was in a life-threatening situation like that, and there was nothing that medicine could do for her, wouldn't you spend the whole year in fear? And she did. And of course, she didn't want her daughter to see it. So what did she do? She's at the peak of this terrifying situation with her daughter, shuts it down. And I said, it's the mother now, because the biochemistry has been released, gone to certain cell receptors, and now it's the mother that we need to work with to clear these old repressed cell memories. And so people have used it to clear everything from multiple sclerosis to eczema, asthma, to Crohn's disease, like Vlastimil, who's one of the organizers for the journey here. He had Crohn's disease. And many of you know this. This is a disease of the colon. It's a decay of the colon. And it's a degenerative disease. It means that over time you're going to degenerate in the colon. It's called Crohn's disease because a Crohn in English is an extremely old, like 100-year-old hag of a woman that's decaying and crumbling. And the colon is actually decaying. Vlastimil, a young man in his 30s, and he's told there's nothing more they can do for him other than operate and keep taking out bits of decayed colon. And he gets on the web and he starts blogging with other people who have healed, because it's not thought to be healable from Crohn's disease. And when he blogged with them, they said, we've discovered it was an emotional issue. So then he started getting on the web trying to find, where can I find work that will help me get to the emotional root cause of what has put this illness in place? And so that's how he found his way to the journey and healed absolutely. He has no evidence of Crohn's disease. And so the reason I share all these little tiny stories is that all of us have issues that we get blocked by. And they can be simple little things. And my prayer is that people give themselves their wake-up call now and use this method. I mean, I get this journey process once a week when I'm on tour. I never want to be so arrogant as to think I've got it all handled. I'll be a student till the day I die. And so my prayer is people use these tools to clear whatever's blocking you, whatever's holding you back in your life. And if I had to say, what is the journey in a nutshell, in a metaphor, the best way I could describe it to you is to say that we, all of us, come in here as a radiant, shining diamond, absolutely free, completely whole, as a field of love, where we feel one with everything. And as a matter of fact, it's science. I mean, I'm a New Yorker, so, when I heard that we're all diamonds, it's like, yeah, nice metaphor. And yet it's actually medicine and science which has found out that actually when you are born, you experience yourself as a vast field of pure awareness, pure love, connected as part of the fabric of life, as a oneness, as a love. As a matter of fact, it's as if all of life is happening in this vast, enlightened awareness that you came in as. And even when mother's hand comes before an infant's eyes, the baby actually experiences mother's hand as part of itself. That's how vast this vast field of love, of peace, of joy is. But unfortunately, through the natural course of life's pains and trials, I mean, it can be something so simple, like you're 3 years old, and you're crying about something, and your mother says, oh, come on, dry your tears. We've got to get you to school, and we've got to get you nursery school. And the little kid gets it, oh, I'm not supposed to feel, at least not the emotion with tears. You shut one emotion down, you're shutting them all down. And so the first shutdown happens. I can remember, for those of you who've read the book, I came from a domestically extremely violent background. One of the ways I used to escape was I would escape in my books, in my my fairy tale books, and I loved reading. And of course, when you love something, you get good at it. And when I was 8 years old, I got chosen for this very stupid contest that we have in the United States called a spelling bee. And what happens is all the different schools in the district get together in a stadium. And they choose one child from every grade, and I represented the 8-year-olds in the 3rd grade in my school. And so there were thousands of people gathered in a stadium. All the parents, the children, the school teachers, the students, and from all the various schools around. And I had stood on stage, and I had already spelled 3 difficult words. And then they gave me one of the easiest words in the English language, the word fleet. Now, I'd never seen that in any of my books. I didn't even know what it meant. But I had seen the word flea, an insect. And I stood there and I said, F-L-E-A-T? And the whole stadium was hushed. And all at once, it erupted into laughter. Now, no one had given me a manual. How do you deal with mass humiliation from your friends, your teachers, your parents? And the whole stadium was laughing. And I looked to my mother, and she was sitting about where you are in the 3rd row. And I looked to her for support. And she looked at me and just shook her head as if I was the greatest disappointment in her life. And she went, I didn't know what to do with that. And it was like this wall just came slamming down. And the laughter faded away. And I went to go sit at the back of the stage with all the other losers. That day, I decided I would never be smart enough. I'd never be good at anything. I was so stupid that an entire stadium would laugh at me. It's like this simple little incidents, and this radiant presence that we came in with, gets covered over with these blocks. I can remember I was 16 years old, and I fell in love with my first love. And I tried to impress him. Have any of you ever tried to impress someone? Raise your hand if you've ever tried to impress someone. Well, I tried to impress him, and I made a total fool of myself. And I could hear myself making a fool of myself, but I couldn't stop myself. Do you know what I mean? And I watched as the first love of my life literally ran out of my life, and I ran after him, you know. It was like this protracted experience of abandonment. And of course, that day I decided I was so unlovable, I was so unattractive, that no man that I was attracted to would ever be attracted to me. That I was just too unworthy for love. And another layer of shutdown happened. Then when I got to be an adult, and I find this in every country I go to, and the journey has seminars right now in 46 countries, is translated in 25 languages. And it doesn't matter what country I go to, all of us have been trained to cover all these layers over with this polished veneer that we present to the world, like this mask that says, I'm an adult, I've got it handled, I'm responsible, I'm dependable, you can rely on me. And we present this false mask to the world. And then when we wonder why it is, everyone thinks we're so full of bullshit. Then if you get to be very lucky, as I have been more lucky than I could possibly thank grace, life, the universe for, life gives you a wake-up call. Now these wake-up calls, they can come in any form. They can come in the form of a loss of a loved one. They can come in the form of a divorce. They can come in the form of reading a book that speaks to something deeper in yourself. In my case, it came in the form of serious illness, where for a moment, I gave myself permission to crack through this hardened mask that I was presenting to the world. And I ended up opening down through the layers of all the lies and the shutdowns, all the hurt, the humiliation, the shame. And I ended up uncovering and opening into this vast field of light, of love. And I realized that that was my true essence. And it had been there all along, only like me, we all of us buy into the layers that cover it. And then if you get to be very lucky, as I can't thank life enough, you fall so in love with the truth inside yourself that you will do anything to clear whatever blocks you, whatever holds you back, whatever obscures you, whatever in any way limits you, so that this natural, divine potential that is your essence can live your life. So if I had to say, what is the journey? It's about getting real. It's about cracking through this whole false identity that we're presenting to the world. It's about being willing to open down through the emotional layers, going deeper and deeper until you uncover your soul, the enlightened awareness that is your essence. And it's at that deepest level of being that you turn the flashlight on inside. You turn the torch on inside. And you end up going on a journey inside your body. And you go to specific cellular locations. And you uncover what's actually stored there. And you go through a process of release and letting go. You come to a place of understanding, oh, that's what was taking place. And ultimately, forgiveness. And that's when you let go of the whole issue. And when the new cells are born, they're born devoid of that. So the journey is not work for people who want to go to some rah-rah seminar and, you know, do a lot of positive affirmations where you're saying, I feel great, when the truth of it is I feel like shit, you know. Because part of you is going, I feel great, and another part of you is going, bullshit, you know. And so this is about getting real. This is for fierce lovers of truth who really want to liberate their lives. So that's what the work is. Now, I can't obviously go through, taking you through, it's a 3-day workshop. But what I'd like to do is for us together to discover, at least, if we can't, you know, take the time to go down through the layers, I would like for us to discover as women. I realize there are men in here, so you'll have to do it from a male perspective. But as women, I'd like for us to discover some of the limiting beliefs, some of the beliefs we have about ourselves that have been handed from our family, from our parents, from our schools, to really uncover from within some of the beliefs that you have stored inside, and to go through a process of not only unearthing them, but going down through the layers in the belief, opening into the infinite, and discovering the radiant, divine, feminine potential that you are. And to go through a process of clearing, even while we're here, and also finding a new way forward for yourself that's authentic to you. The one thing I'm sure is I have no idea what your issues are. We each individually have our own issues, have our own beliefs, have things that have been told to us. Like my father, you know, he didn't believe any of us would amount to anything. And so from the time I was a kid, you know, I'm not going to amount to anything. You know, you can go to university and you're expected to go on and get an advanced graduate degree, but you won't amount to anything in any case anyway. Or my mother, when I was a little kid, and, you know, I went through the stage of losing the teeth, and she just said, you know, you're really going through an ugly stage, you know, and your own mother telling you that. I mean, it's the truth. I probably was, you know, but those words, they stayed with me. And then I found it deeper. I found that in myself, in relationship with partners, I felt like I had to be a certain way to mold myself into someone else's idea of who I should be. When I was younger, I felt I needed to do that. And I started to write down, well, you know, what are my beliefs about who I'm supposed to be in this relationship, right? And, you know, I'm never allowed to get angry. I always have to be there to help. That I have to be loving and giving. I'm not allowed to have issues of my own. I'm supposed to be selfless. And I mean, on and on. And it was just so many beliefs. And what all these beliefs acted is like a prison, where I was living inside of a mold that wasn't an authentic expression of who I am. I was just becoming who everyone else thought I should be. Can any of you relate to what I'm talking about? That you have beliefs that you've kind of absorbed from your parents, from your spouse, from your partners. These beliefs, raise your hand if you know that you're not able to be fully expressed in your full divine feminine potential. That you're being, to some degree or another, someone else's idea of who you should be. And so I thought I'd take us into a little process here. And what I'd like to do is this. You're going to need a piece of paper and a pen for this process, okay? So there's some extra paper here. Some extra paper here. There's extra paper at the ends of the rows, so you can pass them to each other. Extra paper at the ends of the rows, you can pass them to each other. And What? Sure, take a bottle. Sure. I know for myself, I had to be a certain way for my children even. You know, it's not just my spouse and it's not just my parents, but there's a way that I'm only allowed to feel certain things in front of my children. And I'm not even allowed to be fully myself in that situation. And so let's start by taking a nice deep breath in. Start by taking a nice deep breath in, letting it out, and closing your eyes, And we're just going to do a little short meditation here, and then I'm going to have you write down on that piece of paper some of the negative beliefs and limiting ideas that you've had about yourself as a woman. I mean, even some of the limiting ideas come from newspapers that I have to look skinny and young, you know, and it's like there's all these ideas about who and you are supposed to be. So let's just take another nice deep breath in, letting it out, and closing your eyes, And just allowing your own awareness to be open and spacious and free and endless in front of you. Let it be boundless and infinite and spacious behind. Let your own presence, your own awareness, be infinite to all sides. Let it be boundless below and sky-like above. And just resting right now, just resting. As if at the very bottom, in the fathomless depths of an ocean of stillness. And into this ocean, imagining that you're sitting at a campfire and there's a younger you at this campfire, a younger you that once upon a time was carefree and joyous and silly and crazy and wise and wonderful. A younger you who had not yet learned that she had to fit someone else's idea, to fit the mold in order to fit into life. And just notice how this younger you feels so free, feels so joyous, so able to feel whatever she wants to feel. And then letting yourself grow to be a little older. And if you're looking at the younger you, you'll notice that already, by the time the younger you was 5 years old, already she's beginning to get constrained and confined. She has to be a good little girl. She has to be polite. She has to be the one that children are meant to be seen but not hurt. She has to be proper. She has to do what's right. She has to do things correctly and perfectly. And already, watch as this prison of judgment is beginning to encase her. Now letting yourself grow up to a little older. Maybe you're an adolescent and you're already trying to fit in, but now boys are beginning to come into the picture. And you have to look beautiful. And you have to be special. And you have to be something that they will be attracted to. And look at what's happening to that younger you. How you're getting more and more encased in all of these ideas and judgments about who you're supposed to be. And now letting yourself continue to grow up. And maybe already you're starting to be a mother, or you've left college or university or high school or whatever, and you're in a relationship. And look how serious you've become, how responsible you've become. And you're having to fit the mold of how responsible adults are supposed to be. And as a matter of fact, these carefree, crazy, wonderful emotions are not even welcome anymore. It's more about doing what you're supposed to be doing. And this prison is getting tighter and tighter until, as you get to be who we are now, it can almost feel like you've lost sight of who you really are. You've lost sight of this love, this joy, this freedom, this carefreeness, this craziness, this fun, this playfulness. It's almost like we've lost sight of it. And instead, we've come to buy into this tight prison we've created. So for right now, I'm just going to ask that some angels come, or some force of life come. And just for right now, we're doing a divine experiment. Just have this whole case, this prison of judgment, lifted off that younger you. Just lifting up this whole mold, just lifting off this prison, this coat, this mantle, this mold of who you've needed to be, and for right now, throw it into the sun. Just throw it into the sun. And just look at the younger you, and you'll see there's just this shining innocence there. There's this natural love, this natural joy. And I'd like to give that younger you that bought into all those lies and those beliefs, I'd like to give it a voice. And so what I'd like to do is to, first of all, just begin opening up and let the younger you, and you're going to whisper it out loud, and because we'll all be whispering together, just start whispering out loud some of the negative, limiting beliefs that you had bought into. So on the count of 3, we'll all do it at once, so no one has to feel self-conscious. Just whatever comes up and out, just let it come up and out, whispering out loud some of the negative beliefs that you bought into. 1, 2, 3. And just everyone can, I'll keep talking, you keep whispering. So I'm talking over you. Everyone whispering out loud now. Open your mouths and start whispering out loud some of the negative beliefs that you have bought into. 1, 2, 3. Now, if you're gonna, you need to play along here, because as long as you keep these beliefs inside, they stay inside. So I don't see one person's mouth moving. So I'm asking you, please, to whisper out loud just some of the negative beliefs. You've heard the expression better out than in. If you hold on to it, you get to hold on to it. So just everyone whispering out loud, 1, 2, 3, just whispering. What are some of the negative beliefs? Like you had to be this way, and you weren't allowed to feel this way, and you weren't ever allowed to think about yourself. It always had to be about other people. And you had to be responsible, and. Just keep whispering it out loud. Just whisper out some of the negative beliefs. There's dozens of them. And now softly opening your eyes, and let some of your negative beliefs fall onto that blank piece of paper. Just let some of the negative beliefs you've got begin to write down on the piece of paper. Just get them out of yourself. Write them down. Write down the negative beliefs. You've gotten some from your culture, from your school teachers, from society, from your parents. Just start writing down anything that was said to you about who you're supposed to be, how you're supposed to be. Even the children are to be seen and not heard. It's like that made it clear. You don't have a voice, as a human being. Write down some of the negative beliefs. Be willing to dig deep and just empty them out onto that page. I had the I'm stupid. And so stupid that everyone would laugh at me. And I'm never going to be good enough and never lovable enough. Write down those kinds of beliefs. I'm not worthy, I'm not smart enough, competent enough. I'll never amount to anything. Just write them down. Just write them down as fast as you can, just like automatic writing. I'm not pretty enough, I'm not thin enough, or I'm too thin. Keep writing down, what did your school teachers say to you? I had a school teacher, even though I had a 96.7 average, tell me that I would never be an A student. Because inside, I did not have what it took to be an A student. And so even with a 96.7 average, she gave me a B+. And I got it. I'll never be good enough. Even when I get 100%, I'll still never be good enough to make the grade. Okay, now I'm sure you have just a few sentences down there. And I'd like to ask you, if you would, to share as women to women. Just turn to the person next to you and share some of the negative beliefs that you bought into. And then we'll switch and they'll share some of the negative beliefs. I think you'll be amazed, as women to women, we share a lot of the same beliefs. It doesn't matter what our background is. So just turn to the person next to you and share some of the negative beliefs that you bought into. Just sharing with each other. We all as women have these beliefs, no matter what culture we come from. Share with each other. Just share with the other woman next to you. I promise you have similar things written down. Woman to woman. Share from the heart. Okay. Okay. So I would just like to see, I'd just like to hear if there was a strong negative belief that you had, you can say it in Slovakian if you raise your hand and just share out loud a strong limiting belief. And of course, Adela will translate it to me in English, okay? So who would be willing to share some negative belief that you were handed? Because here in Slovakia, you may have different negative beliefs than in other countries. Yes, standing up, stand up, yeah?
Dobrý deň. Tak ja sa odvážim asi ako prvá. Mne tu napadlo taká vec, že nikdy nedostanem peniaze za to, čo ma baví. Keď budem robiť to, čo ma baví, za to nikdy nedostanem peniaze.
So you cannot make money by doing something you like. Yeah, and this means that the only way to make money is by doing things that you hate doing. That when you really love it, that's not a way that you can make money. Yeah, you can imagine how limiting that would be to her on an abundance level and on a joy level, on a fulfillment level. Thank you. Who else? Limiting beliefs, standing up.
Prepáčte, madam, máme mikrofóny na to?
Microphone, yes, we do need to hear you.
Toto proste, neviem odkiaľ to pochádza, ale stále to mám, že ja proste nie som dosť ženská, nie som dosť jemná, nie som dosť citlivá a nie som dosť vyrovnaná.
Yeah. I'm not female enough. I'm not good enough as a female. Yeah, I had a lot of that going on. When I used to live in New York City, I used to dress in tuxedo tops, you know, and dress almost androgynous. I wasn't even comfortable being a woman. I was trying so hard to emulate the men, the successful men in New York City, that I was dressed in like those. It was very hip, you know, during the 1970s to wear those tuxedo tops and the hats and, you know, to really look edgy, you know, because I wasn't comfortable with even being soft as a woman. I wasn't comfortable with feeling as a woman. Yeah. I've gotten very comfortable in my own skin, you know, but it's been a journey there. Yeah, so who else? Who else? Limiting belief.
Moja mamina bola fantastická učiteľka nemčiny, tlmočníčka, ale keď ja som sa učila po nemecky a pýtala som sa jej, že či to čítam dobre, tak odpoveď bola, že takto by to čítali iba Číňan. Nemec by to nikdy tak nepovedal. A potom takú druhú pochvalu som mala, že keď budem spievať, tak iba vo veľkom chóre. A iba otvárať ústa.
Yeah. So here she was learning German, and her mother's a German teacher, and it says that it sounds like you're a Chinese person reading, and don't bother singing on your own. If you're going to be singing, sing in some big choir so your voice won't be heard. I mean, I can't think of many more things to kill the spirit, really. Because when you sing, it's when your spirit soars. And so often we get crushed. We don't have a voice. We're not allowed to express, not to sing, not even to express. And even when we're learning from our own mother being a German teacher, she says, you sound like a Chinese person learning German, you know? These are can you get it, how these are very limiting beliefs? What are some other limiting beliefs that you heard? Yes, standing up. Standing up, yeah.
Ja som často počúvala ako dieťa, že som plačko. A teraz som si na to až spomenula.
So when you were a child, already, your parents were conditioning you never to allow natural emotion. You're crying too often. And yet, you know what science has found with tears? It's an interesting thing. There are tears of sorrow, and there's tears of healing. And they have a different biochemistry. And often when you're undergoing healing work, you need to be able to cry. But so often, I'm at the Journey intensives over there, and people don't even know how to feel their emotions. I'm having to teach them how to go inside their body and learn baby steps how to feel again, because their own parents are telling them you're not allowed to feel, at least not those emotions with tears. And this is like this layering I've talked about, where you get layered and layered and layered and covered over till you lose sight of yourself. Can you recognize that? How many of you get what I'm talking about? How many of you get that these limitations have kept you small and put a lampshade over your light? Yeah. So I'm going to ask you, to do a divine experiment here. I'm going to ask you to look at whatever beliefs you wrote down and any other beliefs you would like to write down, and to circle the one that was the most crushing for you, that was the hardest one, that really put a lid over your life. So look at your page and circle the hardest one, the one that really was the most limiting to you. Okay? The strongest one for you. Circle that strongest one for you. Okay? Each of us have different ones, very different ones from the sound of it. And now I'm going to ask you to do a divine experiment. I'm going to ask you, look at that circled belief and memorize it. Okay? And now take this page and put it underneath your seat. Okay? So memorize that circled limiting belief and take the page and put it underneath your seat. And one of the things that I've learned, as strong as these negative beliefs are, there's actually deeper negative beliefs inside the core of them. And if you go into that, there's even deeper negative beliefs. But you know what? Don't take my word for it. I'm going to ask you just to play along. Now, you are going to have to whisper out loud 3 different times here. So, I can't do it for you. You need to do it yourself. So, are we ready to try a divine experiment here and uncover some deeper foundational beliefs? Let's take a nice deep breath in. Letting it out. Closing your eyes. Closing your eyes. And now asking yourself, what was that negative belief that I circled? And just whispering that quietly out into the room. 1, 2, 3. What was that negative belief I circled? 1, 2, 3. Whispering it out. And now innocently asking if there were an even deeper negative belief, limiting belief, in the core of that one. If that original belief were a surface cover and there were a deeper negative belief about myself, what might that be? And on the count of 3, just whispering that out loud. 1, 2, 3. What is the deeper negative belief? Just everybody whisper out loud, whatever comes up for you. If there were a deeper negative belief, what might that be? Yeah. And asking if there were an even deeper limiting belief in the core of that belief that were the foundation of all the negative beliefs, if there were a foundational belief in the core of that, what might that be? What might that be? If there were a foundational belief that it was the real core of all those limiting beliefs, what might that be? And on the count of 3, whispering it out loud now. Just whispering it. Everybody, 1, 2, 3, just whispering out. What is that foundational belief? Whispering it out loud. And now I'm going to ask you to do a divine experiment here. And what if you to take hold of that foundational belief like it's a carpet or the ground or it's the real foundation of all the negative beliefs, and you would take that and rip that out from underneath all the other beliefs and let all the other beliefs crumble into so much, just turning into so much like dominoes falling or cards falling. Just go and take this foundational belief and rip it out. And when all the other beliefs start free falling, when you really ripped out this foundational belief, what remains? What remains? What's here? And whisper out loud into the room. When the foundational belief, which is holding up the stack of cards of all the other beliefs, is ripped out, what remains? 1, 2, 3, whispering out loud into the room. What does remain? What's here? And then asking, what's in the heart of this? And feel yourself opening and expanding. Just what is in the heart? When all beliefs have fallen away, what remains? Who am I? Who are you? When all these foundational beliefs have fallen away, what remains? Who are you? And on the count of 3, whisper out loud into the room, what's here? 1, 2, 3. And as you expand, asking, what's in the heart of that? Who are you? What are you? What remains? And just resting in this that is here. And letting all those negative beliefs just get swept out of the room. And just what remains, just whispering it out loud in the room. 1, 2, 3. Taking a nice deep breath in. Letting it out. And another nice deep breath in. And letting it out. And what does remain? When all beliefs fall away, what is your essence? Who are you? What are you? What is here? Taking another nice deep breath in. Letting it out. And opening the eyes now. Opening the eyes. What took place for you there? How many of you found that there was actually a deeper belief underneath the surface one? How many of you found that? Raise your hand. Beautiful. And when you went deep into the core of that belief, to the foundational belief, and we ripped that up. We really ripped that foundational belief out, and all the other beliefs fell away. What remained? Who are you? What did remain? Who'd be willing to share? What showed up? What remained? When you let go of all those beliefs. Raise your hand. Yeah, standing up. It's a beautiful dress you're wearing. Standing up. We're allowed to say this as women to each other.
Tak ja by som sa podelila v krátkosti. Keď som obhájila docentúru v zahraničí, tak mamina gratulácia bola, že som prekročila vlastný tieň. Takže prvé obmedzenie moje bolo, že mama si vždy o mne myslela, že som hlúpa. No a tak som išla hlbšie a druhé ma napadlo, čo mama tajne som mu raz vypočula a hovorila, že som dcéra, hlúpa po nej, lebo ona tiež nikdy na nič v živote nemala. Takže toto hlboké presvedčenie, ten koberec som proste vyťahla a zostalo ticho, čisto, kľud, mier a láska.
It's beautiful. You know, often, it's so interesting, a lot of the work that we do in the journey has to do with, one of the things that we work with in the journey these days is something called epigenetics. And patterns get passed down through your DNA. Some of the cell memories you actually uncover are not even your own. They belong to your mother. And so your mother felt stupid, and of course she's projecting that your way. But what's so beautiful is when you ripped out that old belief, you realize that there's love here, that there's peace here, there's light here. How many of you found that when you ripped out these old negative beliefs, that there was a spacious love, a peace, a joy? How many of you found that to be true? When you ripped that carpet away, raise your hand so I can just see. Now, this essence is who you've always been. You've always been this love. You've always been this joy. You've always been this freedom. But it's these lies that cover it. And what my prayer is for all of us, that not only do we clear the lies, but that you go on a journey inside yourself and you uncover the actual cell memories or DNA memories that are connected to and putting those lids in place, and that you clear it out at the deepest level of your being so that you no longer need any more lids. Now, I would like to try one more thing with you, since quite a number of you realized without these limiting beliefs, you realize that you're free, you're whole. So are you willing to try one more divine experiment? It's not required that you say anything out loud. Yeah? Okay, let's take a nice deep breath in. Letting it out. Closing your eyes. And once again, you're going to be at a campfire. And there's two paths at this campfire. There's a path on the left-hand side, which is the path of no change. This is the path of just staying stuck in all the beliefs and all the patterns and all the negativities that we had bought into, and living our life the way we always have in the past. So this is the path of no change. That's the left-hand path. And then there's the right-hand path. This is the path of healthy, wholesome change, where you decide to let go of what's holding you back on any level. Do the work you need to do to liberate yourself. So this is the path of healthy change. This is a path of allowing yourself to do whatever it takes to clear whatever cell memories, whatever blocks, whatever limitations are here, so that you can live from this freedom that you uncovered here today, from this love, this light. So this is the path of healthy change, where you're liberating your life and living fully expressed as your own self, as your authentic self, from the love that's here, the light that's here, the peace that's here. And so you've got these two paths in front of you. And one of the things I've learned, that the body never lies. And your body and your heart, they know what's right for you. So I always let my body make the decisions. I let my heart make the decisions in my life. And so as an experiment, I'm going to ask you to, first of all, let's walk down the path of no change. So we just stay completely with the way we've been living our life. There's no change here. And walk down the path a day from now and just breathe how you're breathing. Feel how you're feeling. Open into the consciousness of you a day from now, you. And just notice how you're feeling. This is a path of no change, so it's pretty familiar. Nothing's changing. You're just living with the limitations that you've always lived with. And so continue walking down this path to a week from now. And just notice how your body feels. Breathe how you're breathing. Feel how you're feeling. And open into the consciousness of you a week from now, you. And check your heart. How does your heart feel? You're continuing on the path. There's no change. Keep on walking down to a month down the line. And once again, nothing changed, all the same lids, all the same blocks. And you're a month down the line, you. And breathe how you're breathing. Check your body. How does your body feel? How does your heart feel? And now continue walking down to the 6-month marker on this path. And over 70% of the cells in your body have already changed. But how are you feeling because you've chosen the path of no change? How are you feeling in your body? How are you breathing? How are you feeling? How's your heart feel? And now walk on down this path into the future, a year down the line. And you're standing a year from now, and there's been no change. But notice how your body feels, how your breathing feels, how your heart feels, how your spirit feels. Just notice that. You don't have to do anything with it. Just notice it. Be aware of it. And now walk on back to the 6-month mark. Back on to the 1-month mark. Back to the 1-week mark. Walk back to the 1-day mark and take a deep breath in now and jump into the neutral zone, into the now. So you're no longer on that path. You're standing here at a campfire and you're neutral and free. Now I'd like you to do an experiment, and we're going to walk down the path of healthy change, where we're actually deciding, you know what, I am going to clear my issues. I am going to get access to these old cell memories, and I'm going to liberate my life. And I'm going to do the work, because that's what it does take for healthy, wholesome change and liberation, transformation, and healing. So this is the path of healthy change. And so step into the future down this path a day from now, and just notice how you're breathing, how you're feeling. Of course, you don't know what that's going to look like. When there's freedom here and there's joy here, you don't know what that's going to look like. So there's a risk in going for healthy change. And so keep walking down the same path of healthy change a week from now, and breathe how you're breathing. Feel how you're feeling, opening into the consciousness of you a week from now, you. Check your heart. Check your body. How does this feel to your body? And continue walking down the path of healthy change, where you're letting go what's holding you back, letting go some of the issues that have been passed down to you in your DNA, letting go of some of the negative beliefs that were lies that you lived with, and taking that lampshade off your light. And so here you are. Here you are a month down the line. Breathe how you're breathing. Feel how you're feeling. And opening into the consciousness of you a month down the line, you. Feel how your heart feels. Your body feels as you continue walking down now this path of healthy transformation. And you walk down the path 6 months down the line. And once again, over 70% of the cells are already whole and fresh and new. How are you feeling in your body? You've chosen to let go of these lids, these lampshades, some of these unhealthy beliefs. You've decided you're really going to roll up your sleeves and dive in and clear some of the cell memories so that you can live from the freedom that you came in as. You're 6 months down the line. How are you breathing? How are you feeling? How does your heart feel? Your body feel? Your spirit feel? And now continue walking a year down the line. And there won't be a single molecule in your body a year down the line. You're completely all new. So how does it feel to be you a year from now? Having let go so many blocks and limitations, old patterns, and come home, that you've come home to who you really are, to the freedom that's here, the life force that's here, the joy that's here. And just feel how you're feeling right now. Breathe how you're breathing. Check your heart, your body. And now compare this to the path of no change. Which feels right for you? Which feels like the healthier choice for you? The path of healthy change or the path of no change, just living with what is? Your body will let you know right now what's right. And right now, you can begin walking back now down the path of healthy change to the 6-month mark. Keep walking until you get to the 1-month mark. Keep walking until you get to the 1-week mark. Keep walking until you get to the 1-day mark. And now take a deep breath in and jump into the neutral zone, into the now. And now you're at a choice point where you can choose which path your soul feels it wants to take in your life. The path of living with no change, or the path of embracing healthy change and liberating your life, freeing your life, transforming your life. And so right now, which path are you choosing? The left-hand path of no change or the right-hand path of healthy change? Which one? Say out loud, left or right? Okay. And so letting the other path dissolve, the path you're not going to take, dissolve into the light. Let it disappear and dissolve away. And now in front of you, you have your chosen path. And a door is going to appear in front of you. And when you walk through that door, you are deciding to step into your choice that you've chosen, to step onto your path. You know, Goethe, I studied philosophy when I was at the University of Vienna in Austria. And what Goethe said, the moment you make a decision, it's as if the whole universe floods in to support you in that decision. And decision comes from the root word incise, which means to cut off any other possibility. So right now, there's a door in front of you. And when you step through the threshold of that door and slam it behind you, you are cutting off any other possibility. And the whole universe is going to flood in to support you in your chosen path. So the door is appearing in front of you right now. Turn the door handle, open the door, step over the threshold of the door, and slam that door behind you. And you're stepping into this new choice for your life. And feel what this feels like to choose this path for your own life. To listen to your body, to listen to your heart, to listen to your inner being. And just allowing right now your own awareness to be infinite, spacious, vast, and free in front. Letting your own presence be infinite and boundless behind. And spacious and free. And empty. And endless to all sides. It's boundless below. And sky-like above. And just resting right now as an ocean of pure awareness, an ocean of light, of love. And your decision is right here, right now. Taking another nice deep breath in, letting it out, and opening the eyes now. So, how are you feeling? How many of you are feeling like you now have what it takes to go your own path and your own choice? Yeah? How many of you chose the path of healthy change? How many chose the path of healthy change? And how many of you chose to stay right, living the way that you've always lived? A few of you. Okay. Shh. So what I'd like to suggest is that you use tonight as an invitation from your own soul. Brandon is not the one that brought you here to this session. It's your own soul that did. And it's your own soul that's telling you it's time to come home. It's time to start living from your authentic self. It's time to be the free you that you came in as. And yes, it's time to do the work that you need to do, to clear whatever blocks you, whatever obscures you. And so I pray that you will listen to your own heart's calling, and that you will be like me, and you will do anything to clear whatever blocks your diamond, whatever shuts you down, whatever negative beliefs are holding you back. So this shining, radiant, enlightened awareness that is your own essence, which has always been who you are. You've always been free. I pray that you will fall so in love with yourself that you, like me, will do anything to clear whatever obscures you, so this shining diamond can live your life. And so if you feel like you'd want to, start following your own path of healthy change. Get together with each other. Get the book. Read the process at the back of the book. Or if you really want to dive in, I'm doing something here in Bratislava that I have never done in 20 years. In September, at the end of September, I'm coming back here to give a 3-day, all and only for women, journey intensive for women, to liberate your divine feminine, to liberate yourself. And so there will be, we have 65 trainers at our event, at this event happening. And I just decided this on Wednesday. I was so excited to be in a room full of 650 women and to realize that There's so much power available here. And that we're at a time of change. And this is a time for liberation. And so just Wednesday, I've decided I'm coming back here and we're going to give this all women's journey intensive, and it'll be staffed and have trainers that are all women, so we can really dive in, roll up our sleeves, and really get down to work and clear whatever's here to be cleared. And it's my prayer to liberate Slovakian women. You know, it's actually, you may not know this, but Michal, the organizer for this, Slovakia, Bratislava is actually the European, Central European base for the whole journey in Europe. Did you know that? And so this is the place, and you can see my hair standing on end, that I really want to just liberate all of us. So obviously, I just decided on Wednesday, you know, we don't even have any flyers, but if you'd like, we can make sure we send something to you. We haven't even got a venue yet. But I just feel so excited that we have this possibility of taking the lampshade off our lights and really getting into it together as women. And so I pray, if your heart feels called, that I will see you at the upcoming Women's Intensive that's happening here in Bratislava completely spontaneously, and I pray we will find a venue. And until I see you again, I pray you will fall in love with the diamond inside of you, and that you will clear whatever's here to be cleared, so you can live fully expressed as the liberated woman, the divine being that you are. So thank you for being willing to play tonight and do this divine experiment. Thank you with all my heart. Good night. God bless. I hope I see you in September. Hope I see you in September. Listen to the call of the heart.